My child, remember Jonathan, the son of Saul. On the day when the army trembled, and the outward circumstances offered no guarantee of victory, he did not stand among a mighty host. There was no majestic trumpet blast, no radiant sign to give him confidence in the way human beings often demand. He had only one armor-bearer beside him, a rocky slope difficult to climb, and a faith bold enough to say, "Perhaps the Lord will act on our behalf," for nothing can hinder the Lord from saving, whether by many or by few. As 1 Samuel 14:6 reveals, "Do you see? I do not need every condition to be perfect before I begin my work. I am not limited by numbers, circumstances, age, the past, or by other people's judgments of you." When Jonathan climbed up on his hands and feet, each step may have seemed very small, very rough, very hidden. Yet his faith opened the way for a movement that the entire camp would later witness. In the same way, you may be standing before a steep slope in your own life without enough evidence that you will overcome it. But if I am placing peace within your heart, then even the smallest step of obedience can become the beginning of something great. Therefore, do not call your place of deadlock the end too soon. What you see is only the outward face of the situation, but I see the hidden currents moving beneath it. Where you see a closed door, I may be forming another entrance that is purer. Where you see your weakness, I am preparing you to experience a power that is not born from self-confidence. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. As 2 Corinthians 12:9 says, "Is not a sentence meant for you to endure sorrowfully, but a promise that your fragility does not cause me to step back. I can use the very place where you once trembled and place within it a new steadiness. I can use what you once felt ashamed of and turn it into a source of mercy for others. I can take the chapter of your life that you thought had closed, dip it into the ink of grace, and continue writing with a tenderness beyond anything you ever imagined. My child, let your heart stop shrinking back from the things I am opening before you. I know you have been disappointed. Is he done? Afraid that if you hope one more time, your heart may be wounded one more time. But I have not come to demand that you pretend to be strong. I have come to breathe life into the place where you are weary, to place peace where you are confused, and to remind you that what is impossible in human eyes is still not the limit of heaven. For we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand, as Ephesians 2:10 speaks over you with a very deep dignity. You are not the product of chance, not the result of your wounds, not the sentence of your past. You are my workmanship, and I am still bringing you to completion. Walk forward, not in haste, but with gentle trust. Open the door, not because you know everything ahead, but because you know the one calling you is your compassionate Father. My beloved child, quiet your heart and hear me speaking in the deepest place of your soul. What is opening before you is not a fragile illusion that will disappear the moment you touch it. It is a sign of my mercy, a confirmation that your life is still held in my hands, still covered by my good purpose, still being led toward a place brighter than fear ever allowed you to imagine. There are days when you look into the future and see only blurred spaces, unanswered questions, and roads without signs. But I say to you that your tomorrow does not belong to darkness, for I know the plans I have for you. Plans for peace and not for disaster, to give you a future and a hope, as Jeremiah Vinci is not a distant word meant for someone else, but a lamp I am placing in your hand right now. You no longer need to let anxiety be your guide. From today on, let my love uphold each step you take. For that love does not tremble before what has not yet happened, and it does not fail before the things you do not yet understand. But before you step into the new season, I want you to learn the art of remaining. Do not rush to leave the place where I am speaking simply because your heart has become accustomed to haste. There are souls who lose what is precious, not because I did not give it, but because they were not still enough to recognize the hour of my visitation. My presence is not always loud. Many times it comes like a gentle breeze brushing across a wound, like silent water softening dry ground, like oil being poured little by little into a lamp nearly burned out. Be still and know that I am God. A Psalm Quarentis is not a call for you to remain frozen in fear, but an invitation to stop chasing the voices that cloud your mind, so you may recognize that I am still reigning in peace. When you remain with me a little longer, what you hear will no longer be only passing thoughts, but life itself sinking into the depths of your soul, illuminating again the places you once thought had grown cold. Remember Samuel when he was still a child in the temple in the middle of the night, while many were asleep, and the voice of the Lord had become rare in those days. I called his name. At first, Samuel did not understand and thought it was Eli speaking. But when he was taught how to listen rightly, he answered, "Speak, for your servant is listening," as recorded in 1 Samuel 3:10. Do you see? Spiritual maturity does not begin with knowing every answer, but with a heart willing to pause and say to me, "Father, I am listening." Perhaps you too have confused my voice with the voice of fear, the pressure of the world with the leading of the Holy Spirit, the urgency to act immediately with my invitation to remain in peace. But I do not condemn you for the times you could not clearly discern the difference. I am teaching the ears of your soul to become purer, so that in the midst of countless noises, you will still recognize the gentle tone of your Father. Therefore, do not allow old wounds to stand at the doorway of your heart like cold gatekeepers. They once made you cautious, once told you not to hope too much, not to trust too deeply, not to open your heart again. But my child, I did not come to take safety away from you. I came to restore what pain has distorted. Perfect love casts out fear. As 1 John 40:18 says, is the word I want you to carry within your heart when old shadows try to return. I do not want you to walk into the future with a shrinking heart, always expecting something terrible to happen. I want to heal the way you see, the way you believe, the way you receive blessings. Some doors I open are not meant to test you with anxiety, but to lead you into the spaciousness of grace, where you learn that you are no longer a prisoner of memory, but a child guided by a compassionate hand. From that place, you will begin to see circumstances through different eyes. In the past, a delay may have made you think you were forgotten, but when your heart is healed, you will realize that some delays are mercy arranging the right timing. In the past, a closed door may have caused you to collapse, but as your faith grows, you will understand that I may close what is unfit in order to open what is purer, and we know that all things work together for good to those who love God. As Romans 18:28 says, does not mean that everything that happens is pleasant, but that nothing in my hands is wasted. I can use even the long nights to teach you how to discern the light. I can use lonely roads to help you hear my voice more clearly. I can use the very moment you open your heart today to plant the seed of a transformation that tomorrow you will look back upon with tears of gratitude. Stay watchful, my beloved child, but do not remain watchful in panic. I do not want you to live like someone constantly trembling before disaster, but like one who keeps the lamp burning because they know the bridegroom will come at the appointed time. Be dressed and ready and keep your lamps burning. As Luke 12:35 reminds you, speaks of a preparation filled with hope. Watchfulness is not anxiously examining every change with suspicion. Watchfulness is keeping your heart soft, keeping your faith from going out, preserving purity of intention, and refusing to let trivial things drain the oil from your soul. Some people move very quickly yet remain empty within. Others walk more slowly yet are filled with holy oil inside. I am not looking for hurried appearances in you. I am seeking a willing heart. When the sacred moment arrives, the one who has remained with me in quietness will recognize the open door without being swept away by chaos. My child, come even closer, not through heavy striving, but through the gentle trust of one who knows they are loved. Do not close your ears to my voice, simply because you have heard too many voices that wounded you. Do not turn away from my hand, just because human hands once let you go along the journey. I am not like those who disappointed you. I am the Father who heals, the one who upholds the source of peace that never runs dry. He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ. As Philippians 1:6 declares over your life, places within you a holy assurance. What I have begun in you will not be left unfinished. Receive the hope I give you. Receive the strength I pour out. Receive the vision I am unfolding before you. You have never walked alone. Even in the moments when you believed you were the only one left in the darkness, I was there. I am here, and I will continue to lead you until everything I have ordained in love is fulfilled in my perfect timing. My beloved child, do not let dreams that have not yet blossomed become evidence that causes you to doubt. My love, some things I plant within your heart are not meant to leave you aching in vain, but to lead you through a refining journey where desire is cleansed from haste, from the need for recognition, from the fear of having to prove yourself before the world. What truly comes from me usually does not grow amid noise, but in quiet perseverance. For the vision is yet for an appointed time. It hastens toward the end, and it will not lie though it delays. Wait for it, as Habakkuk 2:3 reminds you, means that delay is not the same as cancellation. I have not forgotten what I placed within you. I simply do not want to hand you a harvest before your roots are deep enough to sustain it. Therefore, the days of waiting are not empty spaces, but my hand working within the hidden soil of your soul. Perhaps you have prayed many times for the same thing and quietly carried sorrow because heaven seemed silent in response. But my child, no sincere prayer ever disappears before me. Some prayers become seeds. Some tears become streams that water the ground. Some nights you thought you were merely enduring pain, while in truth, I was using that very endurance to soften the hardened places within you. Weeping may endure for the night, but joy comes in the morning. As Psalm 305 says, is not a cheap promise for a passing emotion, but the rhythm of my grace. The night does not have the authority to hold you forever. When my season comes, you will look back and understand that the very thing which once brought you to your knees in tears became the place where I taught you what it truly means to trust. Not every dream will be fulfilled in the way you once imagined, but what I complete will always be deeper, richer, and filled with more life than anything you could have conceived on your own. I want you to remember the widow of Zarephath in the days of famine, when she had only a handful of flour left in the jar and a little oil in the jug. To human eyes, it was the end, the final mark, the last meal before all hope faded away. But when I sent the prophet Elijah to her, the call did not come in abundance. It came in the midst of lack. She offered the little she had left in obedience, and I caused the jar of flour not to run dry, and the jug of oil not to fail until the rain returned, as recorded in 1 Kings 17:14. Do you see? What is in your hands may appear small, but once it is placed into my hands, it is no longer limited by human calculations. I do not ask whether you have enough to accomplish something great. I ask whether you are willing to place the truest part of yourself into my hands. A little faith, a step of obedience, a quiet act of love, a trembling yet sincere prayer. All of these can become the material through which I accomplish things far beyond your strength. Therefore, do not despise the small things in your life. Do not despise a day when you still rise, even though your heart is weary. Do not despise the moment you choose forgiveness instead of bitterness. Do not despise a gentle word you offer when you yourself long for comfort. Who dares despise the day of small beginnings? As Zechariah 40:10 reminds you, reveals that in my kingdom, smallness is not the same as insignificance. Many of my greatest works begin so quietly that the world does not even notice them. A mustard seed is very small, yet once planted it can grow into a place where the birds of the air find shelter. In the same way, what I am forming within you today may not yet attract attention, may not yet be named by anyone, may not yet produce visible results, but I see life moving within you. I see your heart becoming softer. I see your faith learning how to stand firm without needing immediate proof. Please know that every seed you plant in this mission will grow into a torch that shines in someone else's darkness. Giving to this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community, does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. Heaven moves through willing voices, but it grows through hearts that are kind. This is what I say over you now. Each gift you give is like a stream of living water that flows into the life of someone who needs healing. Give, and it will be given to you is not just a verse for Jesus. It is a living promise that shapes your future. Allow me to invite you now with a simple act of faith. Come into this moment with purpose, with honesty, and with hope. The money you give today is not a donation. The act of spiritual obedience that lets your heavens open is what opens them. Let go of your seed and see what God brings back into your life. Then you will realize that the greatest blessing is not only what I place into your hands, but what I accomplish within your heart on the journey toward it. If I merely gave you what you asked for, without healing the way you see yourself, you could still hold blessings in your hands while living with an anxious heart. If I open doors before you without strengthening your roots within, you might step into a new place while still carrying old fears. That is why I am transforming you from the source itself, replacing self-doubt with truth, replacing haste with peace, replacing the fear of loss with trust, that I am the one who keeps you secure. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds, as Philippians 4:7 says, is a gift I place within you, not after every circumstance becomes perfect, but even while you are still learning to walk. True peace is not the absence of trials. True peace is knowing that I am with you in the midst of them. So, my beloved child, continue walking with a gentle heart. Do not measure the value of your journey by speed, nor measure the success of your prayers by what your eyes can see today. There are seasons when I work beneath the ground before allowing the tree to emerge. There are answers I hold back for the appointed time. Not because I am delaying, but because my love is precise. Give me the little that you have, your fragile faith, your limited strength, your trembling hope, and let me touch it with the power of a father. I do not require you to be perfect before I can use you. I only ask that you do not pull your heart away from my hands. Then in the day when I bring forth the harvest, you will not only rejoice over what you have received, but you will bow your head in gratitude, because you yourself have become a new person, deeper, gentler, stronger, and filled with more light in my presence. My beloved child, do not look upon the days that seem ordinary as meaningless cycles. In my eyes, even the smallest steps can carry the value of a sacred pilgrimage. Every morning, you still choose to rise. Every time you continue to pray, though your heart has not yet grown lighter. Every moment you refuse to let disappointment rule over you. All of it is being seen in my light. The steps of a righteous person are established by the Lord. As Psalm 37:23 reminds you, means that I do not only watch the destination, I uphold every step along the journey. You may think you are moving slowly, but I see the roots of your faith growing deeper. You may think you are merely enduring one more difficult day, but I see a soul being refined into steadfastness, purity, and greater brightness through every season of trial. Therefore, do not rush to judge your journey through human eyes. Some forms of growth are not loud, do not come with applause, and show no dazzling outward signs. Yet they are the deepest works I am doing within you. You are learning to release burdens that were never yours to carry. You are learning to follow me, not only when emotions are high, but also when your heart feels dry and everything around you still seems dim. For we walk by faith, not by sight. As 2 Corinthians 5:7 says, is the lamp I place into your hands during days when clear answers have not yet come. True faith does not sing only when doors open. True faith keeps its song alive within the heart, while the hallway still feels long, while the promise has not yet taken form, while the soul must lean upon me with every breath. And there will come a day when you no longer feel the need to prove anything to the world, because your very life will speak for itself. Others will see within you a peace that circumstances cannot explain, a gentleness not born from an easy life, a light not borrowed from human approval. They will know that you passed through seasons where you nearly broke apart, yet I restored you. They will see that you once lived beneath the shadow of fear, but now stand firm within my presence. Let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. As Matthew 5:16 says, is not a call for you to turn your life into a stage, but an invitation to become a humble lamp. A healed soul carries a testimony far stronger than beautiful words, because within your peace people will catch a glimpse of my hand. Remember Paul on the island of Malta after the violent storm in the shipwreck. He had endured raging seas, loss, cold, and danger. After all of that, it would have seemed that a person deserved only to lie down in exhaustion. Yet, as he gathered wood to build a fire for warmth, a venomous snake fastened itself to his hand, and those standing nearby expected him to fall dead, but he shook the snake off into the fire and suffered no harm, as Acts 28 recounts. And from the very place where people expected disaster, I opened a door for many to be healed. Do you see, some storms may appear to exist only to drain your strength, but in my hands, they can become the pathway that leads you to the very place where others need to witness my power. What once clung to you in order to fill you with fear will not have the authority to determine your ending, while I still hold you within my grace. Therefore, guard the flame I have kindled within your heart. Do not let delay cool your faith. Do not allow whispers of doubt to make you forget what I have spoken in the secret place. Some seeds require time beneath the soil before the ground breaks open and green shoots appear. Some prayers must grow quietly in hiddenness before their fruit becomes visible to the eyes. Let us not grow weary in doing good, for in due season we shall reap if we do not lose heart. As Galatians Shino declares, is the word I place beside you whenever you feel like giving up. The harvest does not arrive according to human impatience, but according to my perfect timing. What you sow in faithfulness, I will never allow to fall uselessly to the ground. My child, do not be afraid if today you still feel small. I do not require you to carry a great torch in your hands before you can be called a bearer of light, if only you refuse to let the last remaining ember within you be extinguished by disappointment. I can breathe new life into it, if only you continue drawing near to me, continue listening, continue taking one more step in obedience. I will strengthen what is quietly growing within you. At the appointed time, a bruised reed he will not break, and a smoldering wick he will not snuff out. As Isaiah 42:9-3 reveals my heart toward weary souls, I do not despise your trembling. I lift it up, cover it with my presence, and transform it into a place where grace is revealed. Therefore, continue onward with peace in your heart. Do not allow today to be stolen by fear of tomorrow. Do not let confusing stretches of the journey cause you to doubt the map I have prepared for you. Every trial you overcome, every time you choose faith instead of fear, every tear that falls while you still refuse to turn away from me, all of these are being woven together into a living testimony. And when you look back, you will understand that I did not waste a single season of your life. I used even loneliness to teach you how to listen. I used waiting to make you deeper. I used wounds themselves to open the path toward healing. And you will know with certainty that you were never wandering aimlessly in darkness, but were being guided step by step toward the place I ordained for you with my everlasting love. My beloved child, some of my deepest works within your life do not happen through loud displays, but through a quiet gentleness, like a seed breaking through the soil in the night, like dawn arriving layer by layer across the horizon. You often notice only the obvious events, the major turning points, the doors visibly opening before you. But I see every time you chose not to give up when your heart was weary. Every time you still whispered a prayer, though your lips had few words left. Every time you quietly returned to me, instead of letting disappointment pull you away. These are not small moments, as you imagine them to be in the spiritual realm. Every time you choose to stand firm in faith, another stone is being placed into the foundation of your soul. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete. As James 1:4 reminds you, means that endurance does not merely help you survive trials, but also shapes you into someone deeper, more mature, and more steadfast within my light. Do not despise the process simply because it moves more slowly than you hoped. I do not create forests with a single gust of wind, nor do I bring a harvest to fullness in one afternoon. Things with deep roots require time to grow. If you seek only quick results, you may miss the beauty of what I am forming within you. I am teaching you no longer to live by the reactions of old wounds, no longer to define yourself by what others once said about you, no longer to tremble each time the past knocks upon the door of your heart. Do not conform to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. As Romans 12:2 says, is the word I place within you, so that you may understand that true freedom begins from within. When your mind is cleansed by truth, you will no longer see yourself through the distorted mirror of the world. You will begin to see what I see, a soul that is loved, called, protected, and being restored day by day. Perhaps you think you are still standing still, but I see you leaving the old land behind. That land was once built with fear, with self-doubt, with memories that made you shrink back, so you would not be wounded again. But I did not create you to live forever within those narrow borders. I am leading you into a more spacious place, where hope is no longer a distant thought, but a new breath within you. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? As Isaiah 43:19 speaks, in the midst of seasons, when you feel as though nothing is changing, some new things do not first appear in outward circumstances, but begin as a very small movement within the heart. You are less afraid than yesterday, softer than before, willing to believe one more time, no longer allowing negative words to rule you as they once did. That is the sign of life returning. Remember Nun, the powerful commander who carried leprosy in his body. He came seeking healing with a grand expectation, imagining that the prophet would do something magnificent before his eyes. But the instruction was very simple. Go down to the Jordan River and wash 7 times. At first, he was angry because such a method seemed too ordinary for his pride. Yet when he humbled himself and obeyed, each time he stepped into the water, he was letting go of self-importance and of his own idea of how a miracle should happen. And on the 7th time, his flesh was restored like the flesh of a little child. As 2 Kings 5 recounts, do you see? Many times I do not heal you through a brilliant moment in the way you imagined, but through repeated steps of obedience as you continue coming to me, continue listening, continue doing what is right, even when your emotions have not fully changed. That humble perseverance opens the way for grace to touch the deepest places. Therefore, when you pass through dry and empty seasons, do not be quick to call them abandonment. Some silences are not proof that I am far from you, but space for you to hear my voice more clearly. The world constantly pulls you into noise, comparison, anxiety, and questions that exhaust your soul. But I often speak in stillness, where your heart stops resisting and begins to open. My sheep hear my voice and I know them, and they follow me. As John 10:27 says, is not only about hearing with the ears, but about a deep recognition between father and child. When you remain long enough in my presence, you will learn to distinguish the voice of fear from the voice of truth, the pressure that makes you restless from the guidance that carries peace, the darkness that wants to pull you back from the light that is inviting you forward. But my child, I do not want my word merely to touch the surface of your life and then pass away like a beautiful sound. I want it to sink into your heart, take root in your thoughts, reshape the way you look at life, and cleanse the way you see yourself. Some people hear much and still remain unchanged because they keep my word only as knowledge. But the one who truly opens their heart allows my word to become fire, water, bread, and light. For the word of God is living and active, sharper than any two-edged sword, as Hebrews 4:12 tells you, means that my word does not only comfort, it also separates the false from the true, peels away layers of fear, cuts invisible chain, and awakens the noble part within you that has been covered for too long. As this awakening grows inside you, know that helping with this mission is not a joke. It is a sign from God. You can support this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community. By doing so, you become part of Jesus' plan to save souls who are still stuck in fog. Every seed turns into light that fights against darkness. If you water others, you will be watered yourself, Jesus says. This is not history, it is a living promise about your future. Come into this moment with faith and a plan. What God has already planned for your life can be unlocked through your giving. When my word dwells within you, you will no longer walk like someone merely searching for a temporary answer, but like one who carries an unfailing lamp within the heart. So today, listen to me with your whole soul, not merely with the weary ears of the flesh. Let every word of my love enter the places where you were once wounded. Let every promise of mine touch the places where doubt once lived. Let every ray of my light shine into the hidden corners of your heart that you have long avoided. I do not only want you to know that I exist, I want you to experience my nearness in every step you take. I do not only want you to speak about faith, I want you to live within that faith, breathe within that faith, and rest within that faith. Then you will begin to understand that this journey is not a meaningless repetition of days, but a story of grace being written through patience, tears, hope, and everlasting love. And when I complete what I am building within you, you will realize that not one tear was wasted, not one season of waiting was meaningless, and not one small step was forgotten before me. My beloved child, there are times when I do not call you with thunderous voices, but with a very gentle stirring within, like a hand resting upon the shoulder of someone standing at a threshold. I do not want you to remain outside your own life, like one watching a river flow past, without daring to step into the water. You were not created merely to breathe, merely to survive each day, merely to grow accustomed to safe, yet narrow boundaries. I placed within you a portion of my light, a calling deeper than mere existence, a purpose greater than what you have ever believed about yourself. Be doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves. As James 1:22 says, is not a word of condemnation, but a gentle awakening. Faith does not exist only in what you believe within your heart, but is revealed through the steps you dare to take when I call you. There are miracles you can understand only after stepping forward, not while standing at a distance observing. There is peace you can receive only when you stretch out your hand, not when you keep your heart closed, because you fear disappointment one more time. I know that boundary makes you tremble. I know you have become familiar with your old boat, familiar with your ways of protecting yourself, familiar with saying you are not ready, so you do not have to face what I am opening before you. But my child, safety is not always peace. Some familiar places protect you from pain for a season, but they also keep you from growing. I am not pushing you into the unknown so that you may lose yourself. I am calling you closer to me so you may discover that my hand is steadier than any ground you have ever clung to. Fear not, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God, as Isaiah 41:10 declares, is the word I place within your heart. When fear disguises itself as wisdom, in order to keep you from moving forward, you do not need to possess every answer before you can obey. You only need to know who is calling you when you walk because of my voice. Even if what lies ahead is still unclear, your soul can still stand in the light, and in that hidden place, I see your flame. Perhaps the ashes of weariness have covered it. Perhaps disappointments have made you believe that warmth within you is nearly gone. Perhaps people do not understand why you still hold on to hope. Why, after so many falls, you have not fully let go. Why, in the midst of dark seasons, you still feel something within your heart drawing you back to me. But I know, because I myself placed that flame within you. Fan into flame the gift of God, as 2 Timothy 1:6 says, does not mean you must create strength through human determination. It means you must allow me to breathe life again into what I planted within you long ago. The flame that comes from me does not depend on temporary excitement. It may grow smaller during days of weakness, but it is not defined by storms. If I have kindled it, I also know how to preserve it. If I have called you, I also know how to lift you up whenever you stumble along the way. Remember Esther, the young woman who stood before a moment where silence seemed safer than obedience. She could have remained in the palace, protected her position, and avoided danger for herself. But when her people were threatened, the reminder came to her that perhaps she had been placed in the position of queen for such a time as this. She did not step forward with shallow confidence. She stepped forward after fasting, after allowing her heart to be prepared in reverence and surrender. Then she declared, "If I perish, I perish." As Esther 4:16 says, not out of despair, but with a courage that had risen beyond self-protection. Do you see? There are doors of destiny that do not open for those who wait until all fear is gone before stepping forward, but for those who dare to place their fear into my hands. When Esther entered the place that seemed capable of ending her life, I turned that very step into a pathway of deliverance for many people. In the same way, your act of obedience today may appear small in your own eyes, but in my hands, it can open a stream of grace far greater than you can yet see. But if you are wary, I am not ashamed of you. I am not a God who loves you only when you are strong, radiant, and overflowing with songs of praise. I am the Father who still draws near when you no longer know how to pray except through a sigh. I know there are days when your soul cannot withstand the weight of disappointment, seasons when you do not want to abandon me, yet no longer have the strength to move as quickly as before. Hear my words. Your fragility does not cause my grace to retreat. Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. As Matthew 11:28 says, as my invitation to you precisely in the moments when you feel least worthy of being embraced. I do not ask you to hide your exhaustion, as though it were a sin. I want you to bring it to me, so I may place the bread of life into your hands, place the water of comfort upon your lips, and teach you to continue onward, not through striving, but through strength that comes from heaven. Therefore, do not let the prayers you once offered through tears become memories that only bring you pain. They have not been buried in forgetfulness. They are connected to this very moment, where I ask you not through pressure, but through love. Do you still trust me enough to take one more step? Some prayers are not answered immediately, because I am preparing both the one who receives and the thing being received. Some things you call delay are actually wisdom protecting you from a season that is not yet ripened, not by might nor by power, but by my Spirit, as Zechariah 4:6 declares, will keep your heart from two extremes. Pride when you feel strong and despair when you feel weak. What I am doing within you does not depend upon your small resources. It depends upon my Spirit, who can transform a trembling heart into a place where my power is revealed. My child, come closer. Do not only ask me to change your circumstances while your heart still stands outside the doorway of surrender. Let me enter the places where you still hesitate, where you fear failure, where you wonder whether you are worthy enough to continue. I did not call you because you were perfect. I called you because you belong to me. I do not wait for your weakness to disappear before I use you. I cause my strength to shine through the weakness you place into my hands. Today, pick up again the hope you laid down because of weariness. Open again the hands you closed because of pain. Step out from the role of a spectator and become a child walking beside me. In the story of grace I am writing, the door I open is not meant to terrify you, but to show you that beyond fear, there is a life broader, deeper, and brighter. And when you dare to step forward with me, you will realize that what you once thought was the final boundary was actually the place where a new journey began. My beloved child, when your heart begins to grow heavy with things you do not understand, learn to lift your eyes from the ground of anxiety and look toward the heavens that I have stretched out by my power. Not a single star burns in the vastness of space outside of my knowledge, for he counts the number of the stars. He calls them all by name. Guatro declares, if I give names even to those distant lights that appear to your eyes as tiny points in the deep night, how much more do I know your name, your sorrow, your every breath, and the prayers you are too weary to speak aloud. You are not dust drifting through a cold universe. You are a creation deeply loved by me, seen by me, held within my gentle care. Every morning the sun rises again, not because it remembers the way on its own, but because I still command the light to pass through darkness. Every heartbeat within you continues, not by accident, but because my mercy is still sustaining your life. Therefore, do not allow fear to build within your heart a false story that you have been forgotten. Fear speaks loudly, but it does not speak truth about me. It sees only the emptiness before your eyes. While I see what is being prepared in hidden places, it sees only the long night. While I already know that dawn has been appointed its hour, do not worry about your life and consider how your heavenly Father feeds the birds of the air, as Matthew 6:25-26 reminds you, is not an invitation to live carelessly, but a call to stop placing tomorrow's burdens upon the small shoulders of today. I am not asking you to deny hardship, but I am teaching you not to let hardship become the ruler of your mind. What has not yet happened must not govern your peace. What you do not yet understand must not erase what I have promised. You are more precious than the things you fear losing, and your life does not rest in the hands of chaos, but within my hands. Remember Abraham on the night when I led him outside and told him to look up at the stars. Before him there was no visible evidence that my promise would come to pass. His body was already old. Sarah had passed the age of childbearing, according to human understanding, and every natural calculation declared that what I had spoken was impossible. Yet I told him to look up at the sky and count the stars, if he could count them. And then I spoke of the descendants that would come from him, as Genesis 15:5 records. Do you see? I often lead you out from the narrow tent of your own thinking, so you may see through my vision instead. If Abraham had looked only at age, delay, and the limitations of the human body, he would have seen only impossibility. But when he looked upward according to my word, his heart was lifted beyond human calculation, into what heaven had already ordained against all hope. He believed in hope, as Romans 4:18 says of that faith. And I am teaching you as well a faith that is not imprisoned by present circumstances. There are places within you that have been covered by the dust of pain for so long that you no longer dare to call them hope. There are dreams you have quietly folded away, not because they were no longer beautiful, but because you feared that opening them again would only wound your heart once more. But I am the one who has authority to step into places humanity calls too late. Remember Lazarus after he had lain in the tomb for 4 days. When the smell of death made everyone believe the story was over, Martha spoke to me through tears and through the limits of human understanding. But I declared, I am the resurrection and the life. As John 11:25 says, and before the sealed tomb I called out, Lazarus, come forth, my beloved child. My word has the power to enter places that have been sealed, buried, and declared hopeless. When I speak, stones can be rolled away, grave clothes can be removed, and what once seemed dead can step out into new life. So do not rush to conclude the story of your life based only on what your eyes can currently see. Some doors have already begun to move in the unseen realm before their hinges make a sound in the visible world. Some prayers have already been touched by me before your eyes witness the answer. Some changes have already begun within hearts, within circumstances, within appointed times, though you cannot yet perceive them, because the seed still lies beneath the soil. Faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. As Hebrews 11:1 places within your heart a different way of seeing. Not everything that is real appears immediately. You are learning to live by my certainty, not by the instability of your emotions. Every day you still choose to trust me in the midst of uncertainty is another day your soul is being drawn closer to what I have prepared for you. Therefore, remain in my presence a little longer, especially when your heart wants to walk away because of weariness. Do not give up simply because the answer has not arrived according to the schedule you expected. Do not turn away from the promise just because tonight is still dark. So, do not cast away your confidence, which has great reward. As Hebrews 10:35 reminds you, means that your perseverance is not meaningless before me. I see every time you resist the voices trying to pull you downward. I see every moment you choose prayer instead of despair, silence filled with peace instead of reactions born from pain, continuing onward instead of lying down beside the road. Those choices may not echo loudly before the world, but in my eyes, they are the signs of a soul being refined for glory. My child, the dawn does not need you to pull it upward. It comes because I have appointed it. Your task is not to control every moment, but to keep your heart from growing cold while waiting for the light. But those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength, as Isaiah 40:31 said, is the word I place over you when your legs are weary and your eyes burn from staring too long at what has not yet changed. Let me renew your strength in the secret place. Let me quiet the questions that still remain unanswered. Let me remind you that delay is not stronger than my faithfulness, and darkness cannot swallow what I have called life. Then the day will come when you look back upon this season with different eyes. You will understand that while you thought you were merely trying to survive a difficult season, I was quietly making a way, while you chose to trust me in what you did not understand. The miracle had already begun entering your life with very gentle steps. Yet nothing could stop what I had begun in love. My beloved child, there are moments when you think you have only happened by chance upon a reminder, a meeting, a half-open door, or a quiet stirring within your heart. But in my kingdom, no moment of grace is meaningless. What you call coincidence is often a golden thread I have been quietly weaving into the tapestry of your life long before you could recognize its pattern. You see only a small fragment. You are about to enter your divine future. Remember that this message does not end with you. People can use your breakthrough to get where they need to go through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community. You can help this mission. By doing so, you are sowing into the awakening, deliverance, and restoration of souls who are still trapped in darkness. This is not poetry when Jesus says, "Give, and heaven will open over you." Every seed you plant turns into oil for your destiny, fire for your calling, and safety for your family. Now is your time, my child. Have faith, and as you do, watch God multiply what you let go of. While I see the entire journey, you see only today. While I have already seen the seasons yet to come, my ways are higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. As Isaiah 55:9 reminds you, means that my guidance does not always move in the straight lines your mind expects. Yet, it always carries wisdom far beyond human vision. Therefore, do not be too quick to dismiss the stirrings within your heart. The words that came just when you were about to give up, the seemingly small encounters that later you will realize were bridges I placed along your path. I knew you before you ever learned how to introduce yourself to the world, before others called your name, before you understood who you were, before the praise and criticism of life ever touched your heart. I looked upon you with the eyes of your Creator, for you formed my inward parts. You knit me together in my mother's womb. As Psalm 139:13 says, speaks not only of the forming of your body, but also of the deep intention I placed within every detail of you. I know the things you have never spoken aloud, the nights when you quietly carried the weight of exhaustion, the smiles you wore so no one would see how heavy your heart truly was, the dreams you hid because you feared they were too large to be understood. You may not yet fully recognize the potential within you, But I do not see you through the lens of your own doubt. I see you through the purpose I have placed within you. Through a love that is never shaken, even in seasons when you feel weak. Remember Joseph, the son who was sold by his own brothers, carried away to a foreign land, misunderstood, falsely accused, and then forgotten in a dark prison to human eyes. That journey appeared to be nothing more than a chain of losses and injustices. But I was working even when no one could recognize it. I used the detours, the dark rooms, and the long years of waiting to prepare Joseph for a place even he himself could not yet imagine. At the appointed time, I brought him out of prison and placed him in a position where he could save many lives during the famine. And when he told his brothers, "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good," V declares, those were not the words of someone who had never suffered, but of a soul that had learned to see my hand, even through the most winding paths of life. In the same way, there are things in your life today that you still cannot explain. Yet, I still have the power to turn the places that wounded you into places where my wisdom and mercy are revealed. Therefore, do not fall into the mistake of believing that your worth is determined by the speed of your success, by the approval of others, by what you have not yet achieved. The problem is not that you are still growing. The problem begins when disappointment convinces you that you are no longer valuable. That voice does not come from me. I have never called you unnecessary, never regarded you as a nameless soul, lost within the crowd, for we are His workmanship, created for good works, which God prepared beforehand, as Ephesians 2:10 restores your dignity, reminding you that you are not an accidental presence, but a work still being shaped to completion. A potter does not place his hands upon the clay, only to abandon it halfway through. Neither do I begin my work within you, only to forget you in darkness. Perhaps the form is still being shaped today, but the hands shaping you are the hands of your Father. When your soul feels awakened, receive that stirring with humility and watchfulness. Not every movement within you must immediately be explained by human reasoning. There are moments when my touch first softens your heart before it opens your understanding. I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit within you, as Ezekiel 36:26 says, is what I continue to do in those who are willing to open the door of their hearts. I touch you not to confuse you, but to awaken the part of you that has long been asleep. I remind you that you are not merely the sum of your failures, not merely the result of what others once spoke over you, not merely the shadow of old wounds within you. There is still a calling, a light, a sacred ground that I am still cultivating. Do not deny it simply because you cannot yet see the fruit. A seedling also remains hidden beneath the soil for a season, yet the life within it is real. My child, look back upon your life with gentler eyes. There were encounters you thought were passing moments, yet they planted within you a word you desperately needed. There were delays that broke your heart, yet they protected you from paths without peace. There were silent seasons that seemed empty, yet they were the very places where I was preparing you for something deeper. The Lord will fulfill His purpose for me, as Psalm 138 says, is not a word calling you to wait passively with folded hands, but an invitation to walk forward, trusting that I do not abandon what I have begun. Today, do not live like someone without value in the middle of a crowd. Live as a child who is called by name, protected, guided, and loved with a purposeful love. I am using both the things you understand and the things you do not yet understand to lead you closer to the place I have prepared for you. And when the appointed time unfolds, you will realize that not a single detail of grace in your life was ever accidental. My beloved child, do not see your presence in this world as some small accident cast into the vast river of humanity before you ever cried your first cry. I had already seen you in the light of my purpose. Before you learned how to walk, I already knew the paths you would travel, the winding roads that would confuse you, the seasons when you would think you had lost your way, the nights when you believed no one could still see you. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be, as Psalm 139:16 reminds you means that your life is not a page that slipped from the hands of heaven. Every breath you receive rests within my care. Every time you have fallen and risen again, I have been nearer than you realized. Even when you could not recognize my footprints along your road, my hand was quietly restoring direction, shielding you from unseen depths, and leading you through dark stretches so your soul could learn how to trust in a light that never fades. There are pains you once regarded as proof that you had been abandoned, yet in my hands, even wounds can become places where grace begins to flow. I do not call evil good, nor do I ask you to treat lightly the things that once nearly shattered your heart. But I am the one who can step into the wounded places and ensure they no longer remain your prison. And we know that all things work together for good to those who love God. As Romans 8:28 says, does not mean every road is easy to walk, but it does mean that no road lies beyond the reach of my redeeming power. Seasons of misunderstanding can shape humility within you. Years of waiting can deepen your soul. Times of loss can enlarge your mercy, so that one day, when you encounter another trembling soul, you will not speak to them with cold theories, but with the gentleness of someone who has been lifted by my hand from the lowest place. Remember Mephibosheth, the son of Jonathan. As a child, he fell and became crippled in his feet, and for many years he lived in Lobar, a place marked by distance, poverty, and forgetfulness. In human eyes, he may have seemed only a wounded man, the remnant of a family that had lost its power, a name buried beneath the dust of time. Yet King David searched for him, called him out from hiding, restored his inheritance, and invited him to sit at the king's table like a son of the household. As 2 Samuel 9 recounts, do you see? What has fallen does not have to end in shame. A person hidden away is not a person forgotten by me. There may have been years when you lived feeling pushed to the margins, but I have always known your name, known the address of your pain, known the places where your heart learned to withdraw into itself, and when my appointed time comes, I can call you out from the land of insecurity and restore you into the dignity that my love prepared for you long ago. Therefore, do not call your life ordinary any longer. The voice that tells you that you are insignificant is not my voice. I did not create you as something unnecessary, nor did I allow you to pass through fire only to become ashes. You are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's own possession. As 1 Peter 2:9 restores your identity in holy light. Perhaps today you still cannot see the entire picture. Perhaps all you can see are scattered fragments, a season of loss, a disappointment, a closed door, a prayer that still seems unanswered. But I am weaving those pieces together with a wisdom you cannot yet fully understand. A beautiful tapestry, when viewed from the back, may appear only as tangled threads, yet in the hands of the weaver, every thread has its place. So it is with your life. What is difficult to understand today does not mean it is meaningless. Then there will be people who are touched, not because you speak grand words, but because they see how I have softened your heart. Some will find courage when they see that you were once weak, yet still rose again. Some will feel hope when they hear you speak with the voice of a soul that has been healed. Some will be comforted by the very places you once thought held only pain. God comforts us in all our troubles so that we can comfort others. As 2 Corinthians 100:4 reveals, means that the healing I give does not stop with you. When I wipe away your tears, I am also preparing you to become a gentle hand for someone else. When I restore what was broken within you, I also turn your life into a witness that my mercy is not a distant idea, but a living power that can enter even the most shattered places. My child, let me change the way you look at what you have been through. Do not allow the past to tell you only a story of loss. Let me retell that story in the language of grace. When you passed through deep waters, I did not let them sweep you away. When you walked through fire, I did not allow the flames to consume your soul. For when you pass through the waters, I will be with you. When you walk through the fire, you shall not be burned. As Isaiah 43:2 promises, what I am building within you is not as fragile as passing emotion. I am forming endurance, clarity, mercy, and a kind of peace that is not easily shaken. You are not only being rescued from what wounded you, you are being prepared to carry light into places where others are still in darkness. Therefore, today, keep walking as one who knows they have been called by name. Live not from the shame of what has been lost, but from the faith that I am still writing your story. I do not want you merely to receive blessing and keep it hidden within yourself. I want your whole life to become a quiet stream flowing toward dry places. Whoever believes in me, out of his heart will flow rivers of living water. As John 7:38 says, is what I am doing within you, turning what was once dry into a source of comfort, turning what was once painful into a place of light, turning the journey that once made you weep into a testimony that helps others dare to believe again. You are not on this earth by accident. You belong to a story greater than your fear, greater than your past, greater than every judgment of the world. And I, your Father, I'm still leading you step by step into the purpose I lovingly appointed before the ages. My beloved child, lift your face from the dust of shame, for I have not called you to walk with the posture of someone defined by old wounds. The voices that once made you doubt yourself may have stayed beside you for a long time, but they are not the final voice over your life. I am the one who calls you by truth. I do not see you through failure, through what you have not yet achieved, through the times you moved more slowly than others, or through the cracks you have tried to hide. I see you through my everlasting love, through the purpose I placed within you before you understood what you were born to become. I have called you by your name. You are mine. As Isaiah 43:1 says, is not merely comfort, but a holy seal placed upon your identity when you know that you belong to me. You no longer have to wander through life begging the world to give you worth. You had worth before anyone recognized you. You were loved before you accomplished anything great. You were chosen not because you were perfect, but because my mercy placed its hand upon you. Then, as that truth begins to sink into the deepest places within you, you will feel a quiet yet powerful loosening take place. There are burdens you've carried for so long that you began to believe they were part of who you are. The burden of needing to be better, faster, more like others. The burden of proving that you are worthy of love. But my child, those chains do not belong to my kingdom, where the Spirit of the Lord is. There is freedom will become a new breath within you when you allow me to replace the voice of condemnation with words of love. You will no longer need to live inside the narrow room of wondering why you do not yet possess what others have, because your heart will begin to understand that I do not lead every soul according to the same rhythm. Some blessings come early to teach gratitude. Some blessings come later to teach depth. Some blessings are withheld for a season to protect you from carrying what your soul is not yet strong enough to bear. When gratitude rises within you, it does not deny the things you are still waiting for, but it opens the door for peace to enter, even in the midst of waiting. Remember Jehoshaphat when he stood before an army far greater than anything his own strength could resist. He did not pretend that he was unafraid, nor did he manufacture courage through human pride. He brought the people before me and confessed that they did not know what to do. But their eyes were fixed upon me, and I spoke through the prophet, saying, "The battle is not yours but God's," as 2 Chronicles 20:15 declares. Then something remarkable happened. They marched forward, not with the trembling sound of despair, but with praise, leading the army. And as they worshipped, I threw their enemies into confusion, and victory was opened in a way none of them could have created by their own strength. Do you see? Holy confidence is not believing that you are stronger than every trial. It is knowing that I am greater than everything standing before you. When you understand that the deepest battles of your life are not won through striving, but through dependence upon me, fear will slowly lose its authority over your heart. Therefore, do not confuse humility with belittling yourself. I do not delight when you call worthless what I myself created, nor am I pleased when you speak harshly about the soul I redeemed with love. When I teach you humility, I am not asking you to deny the light I placed within you. I am teaching you to recognize where that light comes from. For it is God who works in you both to will and to act according to his good purpose. As Philippians 23 reminds you, means that every good thing within you comes from me. Yet this does not make you smaller, it makes you steadier. You do not need to exalt yourself in order to be seen. You do not need comparison in order to know that you have a place. You do not need applause to believe your life has meaning. When my hand upholds you, you can walk with a peace that is not loud, with dignity that is not prideful, with courage that does not wound others, in order to prove strength. There will come a day when the places that once made you tremble become the places where I reveal my power. What once caused you to retreat may become the very steps that lead you deeper into faith. Please know that every seed you plant in this mission will grow into a torch that shines in someone else's darkness. Giving to this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community, does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. Heaven moves through willing voices, but it grows through hearts that are kind. This is what I say over you now. Each gift you give is like a stream of living water that flows into the life of someone who needs healing. Give, and it will be given to you is not just a verse for Jesus. It is a living promise that shapes your future. Allow me to invite you now, with a simple act of faith. Come into this moment with purpose, with honesty, and with hope. The money you give today is not a donation. The act of spiritual obedience that lets your heavens open is what opens them. Let go of your seed and see what God brings back into your life. The memories that once cast shadows over your mind will no longer possess the strength to pull you backward if you allow my word to renew the way you see yourself. Do not remember the former things, nor consider the things of old. Behold, I am doing a new thing, as Isaiah 43:18-19 says is the word I desire to plant within you today. I am not asking you to erase the past as though it never existed. I am telling you not to let it rule your future. What happened may explain part of your pain, but it does not have the authority to determine your destiny. I am the one who continues writing the story, where others see only a final period. I am the one who turns tears into a source of gentleness, scars into testimonies, and those who were once afraid into people capable of comforting other trembling souls. My child, when you truly believe that you are loved by me and called by me, the way you move through this world will begin to change. You will no longer walk as someone constantly apologizing for your existence. You will no longer bow beneath judgments that do not come from me. You will learn to say no to the things that pull your soul back toward darkness, and learn to say yes to the light opening before you. Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, as Colossians 3:15 says, will become the foundation for your choices. When my peace reigns within you, you are no longer driven by comparison, no longer controlled by fear, no longer running after every open door simply to prove that you have not been left behind. You will learn to wait for the right season, walk in the right rhythm, and receive what I give you without bitterness toward the portion given to someone else. Therefore, rise up in the gentleness of grace, not as someone who has never known weakness, but as one who has been touched by me in the midst of weakness. Let thanksgiving replace the old voice of complaint. Let faith replace doubt. Let the light of truth dissolve the darkness of shame. You are not forgotten in my heart. You are not overlooked in my plans. What I am doing within you may still be quiet, but it is real. It may not yet be visible to everyone, but heaven sees it. It may not yet be fully formed, but my hands are still completing it. He who calls you is faithful, and he will do it, as 1 Thessalonians 5:24 declares over you, places upon your life a holy assurance. Lift up your head, my beloved child, not because there are no more trials, but because you no longer walk alone. I am with you. I defend you. I guide you. And your life will become a living testimony that my love can restore a soul, lift up a broken heart, and bring light into places once covered in darkness. My beloved child, I know there have been seasons when your heart quietly closed itself off, not because you no longer longed for what is good, but because you feared holding hope again, only to watch it fall in silence. There were prayers you once lifted to me with complete sincerity. Yet, as time stretched on, your heart slowly learned to protect itself through caution. You told yourself not to expect too much, not to trust too deeply, not to open the door too wide, lest the old pain return once more. But my child, I do not place pure desires within you. in order to mock your waiting. I do not sow heavenly seeds into your heart, only to abandon them to wither in the wilderness. He will give you the desires of your heart, as Psalm 37:4 says, is not a promise for hurried cravings, but a confirmation that when your heart is anchored in me, the desires I have purified within you will carry the life, timing, and purpose of heaven itself. Therefore, do not come to conclusions too quickly about what is not yet blossomed. Some seeds remain beneath the soil for a long time, not because they are dead, but because their roots are quietly growing deep enough to sustain the season of blooming that lies ahead. I have seen the years of your waiting, the times you still tried to keep your heart soft, even while inwardly exhausted, the nights when you no longer knew how to pray, except by sighing before me. Likewise, the Spirit helps us in our weakness. For we do not know what we ought to pray for, but the Spirit Himself intercedes for us with groanings too deep for words, as Romans 8:26 reminds you, means that even when your words grow few, your heart is still heard in heaven. Those tears are not wasted. That delay is not empty. It is precisely within the silence that seems as though nothing is happening that I am making your soul deeper, richer, and more ready for what I desire to place into your hands. Remember Zechariah and Elizabeth, two righteous souls who walked through many silent years of barrenness. They were no longer at the age when people naturally expected a child, and perhaps the prayers they once offered had become aching memories hidden deep within their hearts. But I had not forgotten. At the appointed time, the angel appeared to Zechariah in the temple and declared that his prayer had been heard. Then John the Baptist was born, not merely as the joy of a family, but as the voice preparing the way for the Savior, as recorded in Luke 1. Do you see when I answer, I do not merely restore what you had lost hope for. I place within it a meaning far greater than anything you dared imagine. Some blessings seem delayed in human eyes, yet they arrive exactly on time within my plan. Waiting does not weaken the promise. It enlarges the heart that receives the promise, making it capable of carrying it with humility and gratitude. Therefore, today I want you to move forward, not through eyes clouded by the past, but through vision healed by truth. Do not look at the days ahead as a land filled only with danger simply because yesterday wounded you. Behold, I am making all things new, as Revelation 21:5 says, does not speak only of a distant glorious day, but reveals my very nature. I am the one who can renew the human heart, renew vision, renew strength, and even renew the parts of you that have grown weary from hoping too long. When I place light within your eyes, you will no longer see only danger in the future, but will begin to see opportunities for faith to grow. When I place peace within your heart, you will no longer walk like someone merely waiting for disaster, but like one who knows that their Father is already going ahead to prepare the way. From this day forward, guard your words carefully, because your mouth can become either a doorway for faith or a place where fear builds its home. Do not continue repeating that you are not enough, cannot succeed, are unworthy, or no longer have opportunities. Those words do not belong to my voice. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, as Proverbs 18:21 reminds you, means that the words you speak are not small things. Learn instead to speak with trust. I am being guided. I have not been forgotten. My season is being prepared. What the Father began in me will be completed. Not because you are trying to create miracles through words alone, but because you are choosing to let your mouth agree with truth instead of agreeing with darkness. A healed soul gradually begins to speak differently, pray differently, wait differently, and walk differently. My beloved child, you no longer need to live like someone left, standing outside the edges of the story. I have called you into the light, and that light does not depend upon whether others recognize you or not. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. As Matthew 5:14 declares, places within you an identity more noble than every old insecurity. You carry within you a calling from me, even if today it is still as small as a newly sprouted seedling. Do not despise that small beginning. Do not trample upon what I am growing simply, because it has not yet taken on a radiant form. Holy courage is not the absence of trembling, but continuing to walk while knowing that I am with you. Mature faith is not a life untouched by disappointment, but a heart that after disappointment still dares to place its hand into mine once again. And there will come a day when you look back upon this moment with eyes filled with grateful tears. You will realize that this was not merely an ordinary day, but the moment your heart decided it would no longer allow old pain to rule your future. You will see that the moment you chose to trust me more deeply, even without every proof in your hands, a new chapter had already begun quietly unfolding. He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ. As Philippians 1:6 declares over your journey, is my promise to you. I do not begin and then abandon. I do not call and then forget your name. I do not sow and then neglect the harvest. So continue forward, my child, with a heart that has been lifted up. What lies ahead does not need to be fully visible today. You need only know that the one leading you is faithful, and that my hand is still writing the most beautiful chapter through grace, timing, and love that never runs dry. My beloved child, stop calling familiar chains your identity. There are burdens that have remained with you for so long that you began to believe they were a natural part of life itself, as though you were born to live bowed down, cautious, fearful, always expecting something bad to happen. But I say to you, what has existed for a long time does not mean it was ordained by me. A dark room may remain shut for many years, but once light enters, darkness cannot claim the right to stay simply because it arrived first. If the sun sets you free, you shall be free indeed. As Jonu says, declare is not a distant saying, but a powerful proclamation over everything that has tried to keep you low. I did not create you merely to grow accustomed to living beneath the weight of pain. I created you to stand upright in dignity, to walk in light, and to remember that you belong to me, not to the pain that once tried to define you. There are cycles in your life, my child, that did not begin with rebellion, but with wariness. You once hoped and then became disappointed. You once stepped forward only to be pulled back again. You once stood before something new, yet an old voice within whispered that you would fail, that you were not strong enough, that it was safer to remain in familiar places. But my child, familiarity is not always life. My people once wandered in the wilderness until their feet became more accustomed to dust than to the promise. They saw the good land from afar, yet fear made them see themselves as grasshoppers before their enemies. And I had to tell them that they had circled that mountain long enough, as Deuteronomy 2:3 recalls, because there comes a moment when faith must stop lamenting the wilderness and begin turning toward the land I promised. In the same way, there are places of freedom I desire to lead you into. But first, you must allow me to break the silent agreement between your soul and its old limitations. I see the battles that no one else can see. I see when you smile outwardly, while storms move beneath the surface of your thoughts. I see when you want to believe yet fear that you are being foolish. I see when you long to continue forward, yet the past pulls at your clothing from behind. Do not be ashamed of those battles, for I do not stand far away judging you. I draw near in order to bring light. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted. As Psalm 34:18 says, is the word I place over you. In the moments when you feel too tangled to be loved, my light does not shine only upon the beautiful places within you. It enters even the hidden corners long covered by fear, the memories you avoid touching, the false beliefs you have carried for too long. And when I step in, darkness no longer has the authority to call itself master of the house. Remember the man who lay beside the pool of Bethesda for 38 years. He remained very near to the place where people hoped for healing. Yet he himself stayed trapped in the same condition year after year. When I came to him, I did not begin by rebuking him for not being stronger. I asked, "Do you want to be made well?" As John 5:6 reveals. That question was not because I did not know his pain, but because I wanted to awaken a will that had been numbed by years of suffering. Then I told him to rise, take up his mat and walk. Do you see? Sometimes the very mat that once symbolized helplessness becomes the thing you carry as a testimony of freedom. What once kept you lying down no longer has the right to command you. In the same loving way, I am asking you now, do you want to leave behind the place that has grown too familiar with delay? Do you want me to heal not only your circumstances, but also the way you see yourself? Therefore, do not ask only for a new door, while your heart still treats old chains as normal. I do not merely want to change your position. I want to transform the posture of your soul. A person can step into wide open spaces and still carry the mindset of a prisoner if truth has not yet brought freedom within. Fear not, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. As Isaiah 41:10 says, is the word I want to place into the places where you tremble most. When you believe that word, you will no longer see every opportunity as a threat. No longer view every step forward as a risk of being hurt again. No longer use old failures as the map for your future. I am teaching you to discern the difference between wise caution and fear disguised as wisdom. What comes from me may require courage, but it does not suffocate your soul. It carries a peace deeper than passing emotions. My child, there may be people around you who have grown accustomed to seeing you in your old condition, just as people once grew accustomed to seeing the woman bent over in the synagogue. They may be used to your silence, your shrinking back, your hesitation to believe you deserve good things. But I am not limited by human habits. I see you not according to the shape formed by years of burden, but according to the dignity I placed within you from the beginning. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to proclaim freedom for the captives. As Luke 4:18 reveals, my heart, I came to bring freedom, not to legitimize invisible prisons. When I call you to stand upright, I am not speaking only to your body or your outward circumstances. I am speaking to your soul, your faith, your vision, the part of you that has bowed down too long beneath voices that never came from me. Today, stop negotiating with darkness as though it holds equal authority with light. Do not say that you can only live this much, love this much, believe this much, hope this much. Those words may sound safe, but often they are only the old walls of fear. I came that they may have life and have it abundantly, as John 10:10 says, is not an invitation to live in empty excess, but an invitation to step out of a faded existence into a life filled with breath, peace, purpose, and freedom. Let me touch the places you have called unchangeable. Let me name the chains you have grown used to avoiding. Let me lead you out of old cycles, not through harsh pressure, but through a love powerful enough to unlock the places you believed would remain closed forever. So step forward, my beloved child. Even if the first step still trembles, I do not require you to fully understand the new land before leaving the wilderness behind. I simply invite you to trust that the one leading you is faithful. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. As Joshua 1 declares, will uphold you when you stand at the threshold of something new. You do not need to return and make peace again with delay, simply because freedom still feels unfamiliar. You do not need to bend down and pick up the old yoke again simply because it once felt familiar in your hands. I am calling you into a wider light, into a life no longer directed by shame, doubt, and fear. Stand upright in this truth. You are seen by me, called by name by me, set free by me. And what I am opening before you is not meant to make you lost, but to finally bring you back to the free person I lovingly created from the very beginning. My beloved child, today I am not only placing a gentle word of comfort upon your heart, but also a call of awakening within your soul. It is not the voice of condemnation, nor a call meant to make you tremble in fear of judgment, but the voice of a father who sees his child carrying too many things that were never meant to belong to them. There are burdens you have carried for so long that you no longer even call them burdens. There are fears that have lived in your thoughts for so many days that you have mistaken them for wisdom. There are wounds lying beneath silence for so long that you have begun to think you have grown used to them. But I say to you, familiarity is not always healing. A chain covered by habit is still a chain. As this awakening grows inside you, know that helping with this mission is not a joke. It is a sign from God. You can support this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community. By doing so, you become part of Jesus' plan to save souls who are still stuck in fog. Every seed turns into light that fights against darkness. If you water others, you will be watered yourself, Jesus says. This is not history. It is a living promise about your future. Come into this moment with faith and a plan. What God has already planned for your life can be unlocked through your giving. A room you have learned to survive within can still be a prison. Awake, O sleeper, rise from the dead, and Christ will shine on you. As Ephesians 5:14 says, is not a harsh rebuke, but my invitation for you to step out from dim places so that my light may touch the areas you have allowed to sleep for far too long. I did not create you to live as a soul, merely trying to survive each day through fading endurance. I created you for a life filled with meaning, for a peace deeper than circumstances, for a light capable of shining into places where others are still lost. But before you become a lamp for someone else, I want to cleanse the oil within your heart, adjust the wick within you, and remove the things that quietly weaken that light. Let us lay aside every weight and the sin which so easily entangles us, and let us run with endurance the race set before us, as Hebrews 12:1 places before you a holy choice. You do not need to carry everything that once attached itself to you. Some things you thought were responsibilities are actually pressures. Some memories you thought you needed in order to protect yourself are actually closing your heart. Some voices you believed were making you careful are in truth slowly draining your courage to obey me. Remember Nehemiah, when he returned to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. The work before him was not easy. The city lay in ruins. The people were weary, and his enemies constantly sought to mock him, threaten him, and distract him. Sanballat and Geshem repeatedly invited him down to the plain of Ono, as though it were merely an ordinary meeting. But in truth, it was a trap meant to pull him away from the work I had placed in his hands. Nehemiah answered, I am doing a great work and cannot come down. As Nehemiah 6:3 records, do you see? Not every invitation comes from me. Not every urgent voice is worthy of your pursuit. Some distractions wear the appearance of reason. Some delays appear harmless. Some noises do not destroy you immediately, but slowly cause you to forget what I entrusted to your soul. Therefore, learn to stand firm like Nehemiah, not with pride, not with hardness of heart, but with enough watchfulness to recognize what is trying to pull you down from the wall I asked you to build. My child, the enemy of the soul does not always arrive like a violent storm. Many times it comes through small carelessness, through a trace of bitterness you allow to remain, through repeated self-condemnation, through habits that slowly numb your heart, through wariness you keep postponing instead of bringing before me. It does not need you to abandon the light in a single day. It only wants you to grow comfortable with the shadows. But I am a merciful Father, and I will not stand by while poisonous roots quietly tighten themselves around the good soil within you. Catch for us the little foxes that ruin the vineyards, as Song of Solomon 2:15 reminds you, means that small things left hidden can damage the season of fruitfulness. The small resentment, if fed, can become a wall of fear. If continually believed, can become a prison. A delay, if repeated long enough, can become a way of life. I do not want you to wait until your heart becomes dry before returning to me. I want to touch you at the very first sign. Do not fear the moments when I allow your heart to become unsettled before something that needs to be faced. Not every unrest is punishment. Sometimes it is a loving alarm calling you to stop. Sometimes I allow a word to touch an old wound, not so you may suffer more, but so you may realize that place still needs healing. Sometimes an emptiness rises within you in the middle of busy days, not to drive you into despair, but to show you that your soul is thirsty for living water. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free, as John 8:32 says, speaks not merely of intellectual understanding, but of the moment you allow my light to enter the places you once avoided. My truth does not crush you. My truth cuts away chains. My truth calls darkness by name, so that darkness can no longer hide behind beautiful excuses. Therefore, let me enter the inner gardens of your heart, while the weeds are still young, while the soil can still soften, while the roots of harmful things have not yet sunk so deeply that they drain your strength. I do not come like a harsh master, searching for faults in every leaf, but like a gardener who knows which plant needs water, which branch must be pruned, which soil must be loosened so life can breathe again. My Father is the gardener, as John 15:1 reveals, means that my caring hand does not only comfort, but also cleans, so that you may bear more fruit. Some things I cut away are not removed, because I want to steal your joy, but because they are quietly draining your life. Some things I expose are not brought into the light to shame you, but so they no longer control you in silence. My child, do not mistake freedom for a life where nothing ever has to be faced again. True freedom is when you can look directly at pain without being consumed by it. Look back at the past without being dragged into it again. Step into the future without letting fear hold the reins. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and love and a sound mind. As 2 Timothy 1:7 declares over you today, I do not call you to watchfulness, so you may live in tension. I call you to watchfulness, so you may live with wisdom. I do not call you to fight through panic. I call you to stand in the power of love, where your heart is soft without becoming weak, alert without becoming afraid, strong without becoming hardened. Return to me today, not when you have already fixed everything, not when you are no longer tired, not when you finally feel more worthy. Come exactly as you are, with the places still tangled, the parts still aching, the chains you are only beginning to recognize. I will not despise your honesty. I will not extinguish the smoldering wick. I will place light into dark places, life into dry places, courage into trembling places. And when you allow me to loosen the invisible things, tightening around your heart, you will feel your soul breathe again. You will walk no longer like someone dragged by the past, but like a child led by the Spirit. I am calling you to awaken, not to terrify you, but so you may realize that the life of freedom I prepared for you is still waiting for you to step into it within my light. My beloved child, do not be afraid when I bring light into the places you have long kept locked within your heart. I do not shine my light to make you bow your head in shame, but so that the things quietly draining the life from you no longer have a place to hide. Darkness always wants you to believe that if everything is exposed, you will be rejected, but that is not my voice. I am a healing Father, not one who comes to crush a weary soul. God is light, and in him there is no darkness at all. As 1 John 105 reminds, you means that my light does not carry cold condemnation, but life, truth, and the way back home when I allow you to see a fear, a bit, a wound, or an attachment that is weighing your heart down. It is not a sign that I am disappointed in you. It is a sign that I love you too deeply to let you continue living beneath what has been quietly binding you. There are rooms within your soul that have remained closed for so long that you have begun to think the damp darkness within them is normal. There are memories you have covered with cloth, pains you renamed so you would not have to face them, burdens you have carried as though they were lifelong responsibilities. But my child, I did not create you to live among old ashes. Rend your hearts and not your garments. Return to the Lord your God, as Joel 20:13 says, is my invitation for you to come before me with deep honesty, not merely outward appearances. I do not need you to decorate your wounds before bringing them to me. I want you to open the door, even if your hands still tremble, so that I may enter with mercy. True healing often begins when you stop hiding what hurts and dare to say, Father, this is the place where I have grown weary. This is where I have been afraid. This is where I need you to touch me. Remember King Josiah, when the book of the law was found in the temple, after many years of being forgotten. The people still had their rituals, still had a temple, still appeared outwardly religious, yet inwardly, my word had been buried beneath dust. When Josiah heard those words, he did not harden his heart, make excuses, or hide the spiritual drift of his people. He humbled himself, tore his robes, sought me, and began removing the impurities that had crept among the nation, as recorded in 2 Kings 23. Do you see, one moment of allowing light to enter can become the beginning of restoration for an entire people? Josiah was not destroyed because the truth was revealed. Rather, that very truth opened the way for cleansing, renewal, and return. In the same way, when you allow my word to shine into forgotten places within your heart, I do not take away your worth. I bring you back into the purity, peace, and purpose you were created to carry. Do not underestimate your small surrender today, for in the spiritual realm, every time you choose the light, another prison door opens. Perhaps all you do is whisper a short prayer to me, weep silently before my presence, or decide that you will no longer run from the truth. But to me, that is soft soil where grace can be planted. The sacrifices of God are a broken spirit, a broken and contrite heart. O God, you will not despise, as Psalm 51:17 assures you means that the brokenness you bring before me is never rejected. You do not need artificial strength when you come near me. Your tears do not trouble me. Your weakness does not make me turn away. It is precisely when you stop holding yourself together through your own strength that I begin lifting you with the strength of heaven. Biddy, what I am loosening within you is not only for your own sake. My beloved child, there are people who will be touched by your freedom, whose names you do not yet know. There are souls watching the way you rise again, the way you release bitterness, the way you learn to trust again after being wounded. And through that they will realize that they too can be healed. For none of us lives to himself alone, and none of us dies to himself alone. As Romans 14:7 reminds, you means that your life belongs to a story greater than your personal pain. The enemy wants to keep you trapped in delay, because it knows that a soul set free becomes a lamp for many others. It wants you consumed by noise, so you cannot hear my voice. It wants you comfortable with half-hearted living, so you never step into fullness. But I am calling you to awaken not through fear, but through a love powerful enough to pull you out of the sleep of the soul. Therefore, lay down the things you have carried for far too long. Lay down the need to constantly prove yourself. Lay down the bitterness you once believed was protecting you. Lay down the fear that if you open your heart again, you will only be wounded once more. I know you have used many ways to survive painful seasons, but not everything that once helped you survive is meant to follow you into your season of freedom. Cast all your anxieties upon him, because he cares for you. As it Peter 5:7 says, is not merely a gentle word of comfort, but an invitation to truly transfer your burdens. You were not created to hold what only I have the authority to carry. When you surrender those things to me, you are not failing. You are returning to the proper order of love. My child, I am placing into your hands very holy keys. Watchfulness to recognize what is binding you. Surrender so you no longer cling to what needs healing, and faith to believe that beyond letting go, there is a freedom greater than your present fear. The weapons we fight with are not of the flesh, but have divine power to demolish strongholds. As 2 Corinthians 10:4 tells you, means that the fortresses within the mind are not destroyed through striving, but through truth received and grace allowed to enter. Let me tear down every wall built from old words, old memories, and false conclusions about yourself. Let the light reclaim the territories where darkness once lived. Let peace return to the places where anxiety once ruled. Today, do not delay any longer. Do not wait until your heart is completely exhausted before coming to me. Do not wait until the cracks become a deep chasm before allowing me to heal you. Come now in honesty, in tears if necessary, even in trembling. I do not stand before you with closed hands. I stand before you with mercy wide open. A bruised reed he will not break, and a smoldering wick he will not snuff out, as Isaiah 42:1-3 reveals is how I deal with you. I will not extinguish the small flame of hope still remaining within your heart. I will breathe life into it. Every time you choose not to hide anymore, you step closer to freedom. Every time you lay a burden at my feet, another door begins to open. And then you will realize that the light you once feared did not come to take something from you, but to restore you to the life, purity, and joy I prepared for you from the very beginning. My beloved child, I am not calling you near merely so you may hear beautiful words and then return carrying the same old burdens. I am inviting you into a real response, where faith is no longer only a thought hidden in the heart, but becomes footsteps, choices, surrender, and practical obedience. There are things in your life that have remained unmoving for so long that you have nearly grown accustomed to the stillness. You look at a closed door, a relationship still unhealed, a fear that keeps repeating itself, a dream lying beneath the dust of time, and you quietly tell yourself that perhaps this is simply how things will always remain. But I say to you, what has remained unmoving for a long time is not beyond my power. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it, as Isaiah 4:19 declares over you today? Means that life often begins stirring in places you cannot yet see. The ground may still appear silent above, yet the seed beneath has already cracked open. The door may not yet stand fully open before your eyes, but its hinges are already trembling beneath my hand. Therefore, do not merely pray for change while still clinging tightly to the things that keep you paralyzed. I may place the key into your hand, but you must choose to turn it. I may open the way before you, but you must be willing to leave the old place behind. I may speak words of life over your soul, but you must allow those words to sink deeper than temporary emotions and become obedience in your everyday life. Faith without works is dead. As James 26 says, is not meant to burden your heart, but to awaken you from passive waiting. True faith does not stand outside the field, dreaming about the harvest. True faith steps into the soil, sows seeds, waters them, waits, and trusts that I am the one who causes growth. If I am urging you to forgive, do not continue calling bitterness self-protection. If I am telling you to let go, do not continue calling bondage familiarity. If I am opening a new opportunity, do not allow old failures to stand at the door like guards controlling your future. Remember the people of Israel when they stood before the Jordan River. The waters were overflowing their banks, and the promised land did not simply appear beneath their feet. I had spoken, I had promised, I had led them to that place. Yet, the priest still had to carry the Ark of the Covenant. and step into the edge of the water before the river stopped flowing. As Joshua 3 recounts, when their feet touched the water, the river was cut off and the people crossed over on dry ground. Do you say some miracles are opened? Only after the first step of obedience, not before it. If they had waited for the waters to part before believing, they would have remained standing on the shore forever. But when they stepped forward according to my word, the impossible began to give way. In the same manner, you may be standing before a river of anxiety, memories, or uncertainty. But I am not asking you to leap into chaos. I am asking you to walk according to my presence. When I go before you, deep waters no longer become a place that buries you, but a pathway leading you into what I have promised. I know you have grown weary from trying many times without seeing results. I know there are prayers that have dried your lips through waiting. Changes you longed for that seem painfully slow, strongholds within your mind that did not collapse in a single day. But my child, do not measure my power by the speed of your emotions. Let us not grow weary in doing good, for in due season we shall reap, if we do not lose heart, as Galatians Shasanoah declares will sustain you in the moments when your heart wants to stop halfway along the road. Some healing comes like lightning, but some healing comes like the dawn, layer upon layer of light, pushing back darkness until the room is no longer the same. What matters is that you do not return and make peace again with the very thing I am freeing you from. Do not ask for peace while continuing to feed the thoughts that throw your soul into turmoil. Do not ask for freedom while still holding the key to the old chains. Cooperate with grace, for grace does not make you passive. Grace gives you strength to walk in what you once did not have the strength to do. There are spiritual strategies I have already placed before you very clearly. Yet, because they seem simple, you are tempted to overlook them. An apology that needs to be spoken, a habit that must end, a boundary that needs to be established, a time of silence that must be protected, a memory that must be brought before me instead of continually buried, an opportunity that must be entered with courage. These things may not appear impressive in the eyes of the world, but in the spiritual realm, every act of obedience is another hammer strike against old chains. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. As Psalm 119:105 says, was not given merely for you to admire the light, but for you to place your feet where the light leads. I do not only want you to know the way, I want you to walk the way with me. And if you can see only enough light for a single step, then take that step. I do not often hand the entire map to a trembling soul, but I always give enough light for the one willing to trust me today. My child, do not be afraid when obedience requires you to leave behind what feels familiar. There are old rooms that may be narrow, yet you have learned how to survive within them. So freedom at first can feel unfamiliar to you. There are burdens you have carried for so long that, when you finally lay them down, your hands feel strangely empty, and you no longer know what to do with such lightness. But I will teach you how to live as one who is free. Stand firm then in the freedom by which Christ has set you free, and do not be entangled again with a yoke of bondage, as Galatians 5:1 declares over you. Do not return to the yoke simply because your neck has grown used to it. Do not retreat into darkness simply because the light asks you to see more clearly. I am not taking away what brings life to you. I am removing what has been draining the life from your soul. Beyond your surrender is a wide and open place you do not yet fully understand. But when you step into it, you will realize that the peace I prepared for you has always been greater than the fear of releasing what was old. And remember, you do not walk through this process alone. I do not stand at a distance commanding you to change by your own strength. I go before you to prepare the way, beside you to uphold you, and behind you to protect you from what tries to pull you backward. For it is God who works in you both to will and to act according to his good pleasure, as Philippians 2:13 tells you, means that even the desire within you to be renewed is itself evidence of my hand upon your life. When you forgive, you are not becoming weaker. Chains are falling away. When you let go, you are not losing something. Your hands are being opened to receive what is purer. When you step through a new door, you are not betraying your past. You are responding to the future I have prepared for you. Every time you cooperate with me, the light spreads farther. Every time you choose obedience instead of delay, another part of your soul rises again. Every time you whisper yes through trembling, heaven sees a child returning to their rightful place within the light. So today, begin with the step you already know to take. Do not wait until fear disappears before obeying, because courage is often born along the journey, not before it begins. Do not wait until every sign appears perfect before surrendering. You are about to enter your divine future. Remember that this message does not end with you. People can use your breakthrough to get where they need to go, through the link in the description or the pinned comment. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community, you can help this mission. By doing so, you are sowing into the awakening, deliverance, and restoration of souls who are still trapped in darkness. This is not poetry when Jesus says, "Give, and heaven will open over you." Every seed you plant turns into oil for your destiny, fire for your calling, and safety for your family. Now is your time, my child. Have faith, and as you do, watch God multiply what you let go of, because true submission always requires faith. Do not wait until everyone else fully understands before you move, because some callings are spoken only in the hidden place between you and me. Let my word stir what has remained still. Let my spirit breathe upon what has grown dry. Let your hand turn the key I have already placed within it. I will go before you and level the crooked places. I will break down gates of bronze and cut through bars of iron. As Isaiah 45:2 declares before you. But you must follow me as the doors begin to open. You were not created to stand forever outside what I have promised. Rise up, my beloved child. Forgive where forgiveness is needed. Release what must be released. Step forward where I am making a way. And you will discover that what once seemed immovable in your life is not stronger than my voice, not more enduring than my light, and cannot stop a soul that has decided to walk into freedom with its Father. My beloved child, some victories within the soul do not begin with loud celebrations before people, nor when circumstances have already visibly changed. They begin in a quiet moment, when you decide that you will no longer stand still before my word. Many hear what is right, know what is good, understand what is holy. Yet their lives remain trapped in old places because they allow my words to pass only through their minds without allowing them to direct their footsteps. I did not call you near simply to gather beautiful ideas about faith, but to enter into the living reality of that faith. Be doers of the word, and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves. As James 1:22 says to your heart today, so that you may understand that transformation does not come merely from knowing I have power, but from allowing that power to touch the way you choose to live, choose to think, choose to forgive, choose to return, and choose surrender day by day. A seed, no matter how precious, must still be planted into the ground. A lamp, no matter how full of oil, must still be lit. And a soul, no matter how many holy words it is heard, must still rise and step into what I am speaking. So let prayer become the quiet breath of your soul, not a cold ritual you perform merely to finish, nor beautifully arranged words, while your heart remains distant from me. I am not moved by outward eloquence. I listen to the deepest place within you, where sometimes all that remains is a sigh, a tear, a very small cry. Father, please stay with me. The Lord is near to all who call upon him. To all who call upon him in truth, as Psalm 145:19 reminds you, means that what opens heaven is not perfection of language, but the sincerity of a heart that no longer pretends. Some prayers are very short yet rise like sweet incense, because they are born from truth. Some silences before me are deeper than 1,000 spoken words, because within that silence, you stop holding yourself together through your own strength and allow me to carry what you cannot bear alone. Remember Daniel, who lived in a foreign kingdom where pressure, power, and human schemes sought to pull him away from faithfulness to me. When the decree was issued forbidding prayer to any god except the king, Daniel did not use worldly wisdom to negotiate with fear. He returned to his room, opened the windows toward Jerusalem, knelt down, and prayed as he had always done. As Daniel 6 records, do you see? Daniel's strength did not suddenly appear in the lion's den. It had already been formed through many hidden moments of kneeling before me. Public victory is born from private faithfulness. Before the mouths of lions were shut, Daniel's heart had already been anchored in me. In the same way, do not wait until crisis erupts before seeking the breath of heaven. Build your altar in ordinary days, so that when trials come, your soul already knows the way back to the true source of strength. I know you are living in a world constantly urging you to hurry, constantly pulling your mind from one noise to another, from one worry to the next. But my child, the soul is not healed through haste, nor renewed by endlessly reacting to everything around it. There are strengths I pour out only upon those who know how to remain still long enough to hear me speak in the secret place. Those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. As Isaiah 40:31 says, does not speak of empty waiting, but of remaining within my presence until the wings inside your soul are restored again. When you become quiet before me, the voice of fear slowly grows weaker. When you place your heart beneath my light, chaotic thoughts no longer rule you as they once did. When you pray not to escape life, but to place your life into my hands, the peace of heaven will cover you like a gentle garment wrapped around a heart that has grown weary for too long. There are battles you cannot win through sheer willpower, or by condemning yourself for not being stronger. There are chains that do not break because you pull harder, but because you bring them into my presence, where truth begins loosening every knot you could never untie by yourself, not by might nor by power, but by my spirit. Gadra, says the Gladys, is the truth I want engraved deeply within you, so you no longer confuse striving with faith. Faith is not pretending you are strong. Faith is bringing your weakness to me. and allowing my strength to be perfected within it. There are moments when you must act, moments when you must speak, moments when you must step forward, but before every step, you must first be anchored in me. If your mind is filled with noise, you will easily mistake pressure for guidance. If your heart drifts far from me, you will easily mistake fear for wisdom. But when you remain in prayer, I will teach you how to discern which door I am opening, which path is merely the trap of haste, which voice is the invitation of light, and which whisper is the pull of darkness. My child, I do not desire a religious life that appears proper on the outside, yet remains dry within. I desire a living heart, one that returns to me the way a thirsty tree reaches for water. As the deer longs for streams of water, so my soul longs for you. As Psalm 42:1 expresses, reveals what I want to awaken within you. Not prayer born from heavy obligation, but seeking that flows from love. When you come before me in honesty, your circumstances may not change immediately, but you will. The way you look at your struggles will change. The way you hear negative voices will change. The way you stand before fear will change. Once a dark thought may have dragged you down for an entire day, but when my word takes root within you, you will learn to stop and say, "This no longer rules me." Once you may have chased every outside voice, searching for reassurance, but when my presence becomes your home, you will learn how to rest even when the world still does not understand you. So today, return to the place of prayer, not like someone forced into duty, but like a child returning to the embrace of a father. Bring me the things you do not know how to tell anyone else, the wariness you have hidden, the questions you have swallowed in silence, the fears you believed you had to solve on your own. I do not condemn you for being weak. I invite you to let that weakness become the very place where grace touches you most deeply. Draw near to God, and He will draw near to you. As James 4:8 promises, belongs to every step of your return. Every sincere prayer, no matter how short, opens another door for light. Every time you choose silence before me, instead of running after chaos, you make room for peace to dwell within you. Every time you hear and obey what I speak, faith within you ceases to be merely a flame you talk about and becomes a real fire burning brightly. Remain with me, my beloved child. From that hidden place, I will renew your soul, strengthen your steps, and lead you into a life that does not merely know about me, but truly walks with me in power, peace, and love. My beloved child, let your heart rest within this deep assurance. You have never been ordinary in my eyes. Even when people passed through your life, as though they could not see the gift I placed within you. At times their indifference made you question whether something was lacking in you, whether you were not good enough, lovable enough, or important enough to be kept close. But I tell you this, the value of a soul is not determined by the hands that let go, the eyes that turned away, or the opinions that change according to human emotion. I have loved you with an everlasting love. Therefore, I have drawn you with loving kindness, as Jeremiah 31:3 reminds you, means that my love for you did not begin when others accepted you, nor does it end when others walk away from you. Before they knew how to call your name, I knew you before they could recognize the light within you. I had already placed that light in the deepest part of your soul. And there will come a day when others look back and realize that you are no longer the person who can be crushed by criticism, abandon closed doors, or long seasons of loneliness, But my child, when that day comes, let the transformation within you spread like fragrance, rather than become a trumpet of pride. I did not raise you up so you could stand above others in self-importance. I raised you up so you could stand firmly in peace. True light does not need to compete for attention, nor wound others to prove its brightness. The wisdom from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, reasonable, full of mercy, as James 3:17 reveals, showing you the mark of maturity that comes from me. The more healed you become, the less you feel the need for revenge, the more restored you become, the more carefully you guard the purity of your heart, the more I strengthen you, the more deeply you learn to bow in grace. Remember Stephen, who stood before the council, while many voices rose against him. He carried no weapon in his hands, possessed no earthly power to defend himself, nor did he use bitterness to answer evil. Yet those who looked at him saw that his face was like the face of an angel, as Act 6:15 records. Do you see? True light is not something you paint upon your own face. It is the mark left upon a soul that remains close to me. Stephen did not shine because people treated him fairly, but because my presence covered him, even in the midst of injustice. And when stones were hurled against him, he still prayed that their sin would not be held against them. As Acts 7:60 tells us, this is the power of true healing. Not the power that makes you forget you were once wounded, but the power that keeps pain from transforming you into the likeness of the darkness that hurt you. So when one day others fall silent before the peace within you, do not use their silence to feed secret triumph within your heart. Use it instead to remember that I preserved you through nights no one ever saw. When they realize you rose from the very place they believed would destroy you, let your heart respond with prayer rather than judgment. For you know what it feels like to be a lost soul. You know how the blindness of pain can cause people to wound one another. Love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. As Matthew 5:44 says, is not an invitation to weakness or to ignoring necessary boundaries, but a calling to refuse to let evil shape you into its own image. You may walk away from what wounded you, yet still refuse to carry resentment with you as a companion. I want you to understand that the greatest victory is not the day others regret failing to value you. The greatest victory is the day you no longer need their regret in order to know your worth. When your heart is truly healed, you will no longer live with the hidden desire for someone to finally realize they were wrong about you. You will live in the peace of knowing that I was always right when I called you precious. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you, as John 14:27 promises, is a gift that does not depend on who stays or leaves, who understands you or misunderstands you, who approves of you or dismisses you. That peace becomes like solid rock beneath your feet, so that even when the winds of old memories blow through your mind, they cannot drag you back into the dark places of shame. There were seasons when you believed you had been left behind. Yet in truth, I was leading you out of places that were suffocating the light within you. There were losses that hurt deeply at first, but later you will understand that they created space for me to place something purer inside you. All things work together for good to those who love God. As Romans 8:28 says, does not mean that everyone who hurt you was right, but it does mean that no one has the power to make your pain become your ending. I can take what was overlooked and make it strong. I can take a heart once shattered and make it gentler, deeper, and brighter. I can transform the place where you once wept into a source of comfort for other souls, still standing in their own long night. Therefore, remain close to me, not to create an appearance of brightness before people, but so that my presence may quietly renew you from within. When you remain near me, your words will become less sharp. When you remain near me, your eyes will become less defensive. When you remain near me, your heart will learn to distinguish between dignity and pride, between healthy boundaries and bitterness, between holy strength and the hardness created by pain. Glad abide in me and I in you. As John 4 says, is the secret of every true fruit. A branch does not force fruit to appear through striving. It simply remains in the vine and life flows through it. You are the same. Do not struggle to prove that you have been restored. Simply remain in me, and your restoration will speak for itself through the way you love, the way you forgive, and the way you stand firm without losing your gentleness. My child, I am building you upon the rock of my love, not upon the shifting sand of human approval. People may change. Their promises may fade with time. Today they may stand close to you, and tomorrow they may walk away. But I am not like them. Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. As Hebrews 13:8 declares, places within you an unshakable assurance. Let that truth become the place where your soul rests. You do not need to chase after those who do not know how to treasure what I have placed within you. You do not need to bend down and gather again the old words that once wounded you. You do not need to prove your strength through noise and display. Live in the light. Walk in peace. Keep your heart pure. And let the story of your life become a testimony that my love can raise up a soul that was overlooked. Heal a heart that once felt forgotten and cause that soul to shine not through display or pride, but through a gentleness no longer stolen by darkness. With the make heat. Heat, 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 the way to you. Nothing but wait, heat.